This is a book that I'm going to read to you because it's a book that touches my heart. It is called Frederick, and it's by Lionni or Lionni. I've never heard anybody say his name, so I have no idea. But this book came to my attention, and as I was riding my bike today, I really thought how much this really speaks to my heart. I ordered this book. I'm in a group where we welcome new people, and part of the impetus for that was because we all are new first years for our first year here, and the winter just about took us all down. And we just wanted to welcome people and help them assimilate better than we did, in hopes that in the year to come we can figure out a way to survive this winter. So, having said that, I want to read you this book. Frederick. That's Frederick. He's the mouse. Honestly, I cried when I read this book, but I haven't read it in a while. Oh no, I won't be able to figure out how to hold it up. Here's the picture. All along the meadow, where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall, much like where I live. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. I'll pretend I'm the first grade teacher and you're the students. But the farmers had moved away. The barn was abandoned, and the granary, or the granary, in England I'd probably say granary, stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night, except for Frederick. There's Frederick. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather the sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, And now, Frederick, I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. And once Frederick seemed half asleep. Are you daydreaming, Frederick? They asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we will run out of things to say. The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries, and the straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. What about your supplies, Frederick? They asked. Close your eyes, said Frederick, as he climbed on a big stone. Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel their golden glow? And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the 4 little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? And how about the colors, Frederick? They asked anxiously. Close your eyes again, said Frederick. And when he told them of the blue periwinkles and the red poppies and the yellow wheat and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if it had been painted in their minds. And the words, Frederick? Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, What scatters the snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky. 4 little field mice, like you and like I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. Then the fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and the winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with 1 less or 1 more. When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. But Frederick, they said, you are a poet. And Frederick blushed and took a bow and shyly said, I know it. Yeah. I wanted to share that with you today because it's really a wonderful story and it's really an allegory. I feel like Frederick expresses the artist in us all, and he knew enough to know that it's well and good to put the food away for physical strength and survival, but survival of the spirit is another whole thing. And the will to move on and go on and get through is another whole thing that corn or wheat cannot fill. I'm very grateful that my food is available to me, that my table does not go wanting. But at the same time, I think of the winter to come. I think of what I did to suffer through last winter and how difficult it was for me. After all the joy I've received from being the new me and being so high for 3 years on that wave, that crest of I have a new opportunity to live, I have a new life. And yet I came to England, which was always my dream to get to live here. This is like a dream come true. And yet I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to deal with what I went through emotionally over the dark months here. And as summer moves on, and I feel the chill coming back to the air, and I see the light of day shortening just the littlest bit, I know that the end of October is fast approaching, and I honestly am frightened. And I wanted to read Frederick to you to share the fact that there's a poet in every one of us, and we have to store up for ourselves the gifts for our soul for the hard times. And I want you to know that I count you all as a gift to my soul. And I'm so grateful that you join me on my continued journey, and that I have friends, and that you matter. And you give me so much. So I thank you, and I wanted to share that story with you. And I will say that when I rode today, Frederick came to mind because I knew I was storing up the beautiful blue sky and the warm wind and the big puffy white clouds. and the green in the field, and the hawk on the tree, and the sheep in the field, and all the things that bring me light and joy and happiness, I need to learn how to store up in here so that I can make it through the dark days to come. And they are dark days for me that I wish I had some control over. I'm hoping this year I will manage them a little better. But in the meantime, I wanted to share Frederick with you. Peace out, everybody.